Hi everybody, I'm Noah Schwartz, and it's time once again for the first edition of the semester of Blunation. This is your home for the latest sports headlines, both with the Blugolds and the rest of the wide world of sports. Let's get started. We begin with playoff hockey at Hobbs Ice Arena Friday night, as the 2-seed UW Eau Claire Blugolds hosted the 3-seed UW Superior Yellow Jackets in Game 1 of the WIAC men's hockey semifinals presented by Culver's. The Blugolds had their work cut out for them as they were set to face Yellow Jacket goalie Dylan Milan, who came into the series with a .947 save percentage. The challenge didn't daunt them, however, as the Blugolds were able to rattle off 3 unanswered goals in the second period, prompting Superior to make a change in net. The Yellow Jackets were able to respond well as they sent the game to overtime tied at 5 apiece, where less than 2 minutes into the extra frame, sophomore defenseman Dawson Klein found the back of the net to give Eau Claire the 6-5 win and a 1-0 series lead. The following night, a pair of third-period goals from junior forward Sammy Martel, as well as a 20-save shutout from freshman goalie Max Guchar, gave the Blugolds a 3-0 win and the series sweep over Superior. The wins punched the Blugolds' ticket to the WIAC Commissioner's Cup Final presented by Culver's this Saturday at 7 at UW-Stevens Point. Not to be outdone, the Blugold women's hockey team has also been firing on all cylinders in the WIAC Women's Hockey Tournament presented by Culver's. In the semifinals this weekend, the Blugolds were without senior starting goaltender and Quick Trip Athlete of the Week Stephanie Martin due to injury, so junior netminder Josie Matheson got the start instead. And Matheson was perfect, putting up a pair of shutouts in 2 identical 2-0 wins over UW-Stevens Point, giving the Blugolds a trip to the WIAC Championship game this Saturday at 2 at UW River Falls. To the hardwood now, and the Blugold women's basketball team, who have had a wild week to say the least. On last Tuesday, they beat UW Platteville 65-55 at home in the first round of the WIAC tournament. Then that Friday, they erased a 19-point deficit to upset rival UW Stout 68-67 on the road in the semifinals before falling to UW Whitewater in the championship game. On Sunday, the Blugolds earned their second straight trip to the NCAA tournament and will travel down to Chicago to take on Whitman in the first round on Friday at 5:30. We wish them the best of luck in the big dance. Meanwhile, spring sports are back, and the Blugold baseball team has been off to a good start in their 3rd season of play as a program. In action down in Memphis, Tennessee, the Blugolds dropped their opener to Rhodes 6-4 and fell to Wabash 11-6 before picking up their first win of the young campaign over Augustana by a score of 10-8. Even better than that, sophomore shortstop Drew Salyers has garnered national praise by being named to the D3Baseball.com Team of the Week, becoming the first Blugold in history to receive that honor. Salyers went 6 for 10 over the team's first 3 games, scoring 4 runs and stealing 4 bases, with 3 of those steals coming in the opener against Rhodes. Thanks to Eau Claire's famously agreeable spring weather, Salyers and the Blugolds won't be back in action until their trip to Florida beginning March 18th. And the Blugold football program made headlines this offseason by announcing the hiring of new head coach Rob Erickson. Erickson replaces former head coach Wesley Bishorner, who is now on the staff at Northern Illinois University. Erickson comes to Eau Claire with a wealth of experience as an assistant coach. He helped to guide South Dakota State to a D1 FCS national championship this season. Erickson also served as an associate head coach at UW Whitewater and his alma mater UW Platteville. In his introductory press conference, Erickson said that the future is bright for Blugold football. That wraps up things for the Blugolds this week. Let's take a look at the week ahead for the teams. More Blunation right after this. Welcome back. Elsewhere in the sports world, University of Georgia defensive lineman Jalen Carter has returned to the NFL scouting combine after he turned himself in and was charged with misdemeanor counts of reckless driving and racing on Wednesday. Carter, who has been expected by some to be a top 5 pick in next month's draft, was charged in connection to a January 15th crash that killed fellow Bulldog offensive lineman Devin Willock and recruiting staffer Chandler LaCroix. Carter had allegedly been racing them at the time of the accident. If convicted, the charges carry a maximum sentence of 12 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. Meanwhile, in the NFL, to say that the offseason has heated up would be an understatement. Big names like Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, and Leonard Fournette have joined the already long list of noteworthy free agents after being released by their teams at the start of the new league year. They joined the likes of Orlando Brown, James Bradbury, Mike McGlinchey, Josh Jacobs, Odell Beckham Jr., and many more as one of the deepest free agent classes maybe ever. The league landscape is set to change and massive contracts will be handed out when free agency starts on March 15th. Certainly the biggest possible prize in free agency is former unanimous MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson, who at this hour is still in negotiations with the Ravens on a last-minute contract extension. The 26-year-old Jackson has reportedly been holding out for a fully guaranteed contract bigger than Deshaun Watson's 5-year, $230 million deal. Jackson has reportedly turned down bigger extensions that were not fully guaranteed. The Ravens have until next Tuesday, March 7th, to reach a deal before the deadline to place a franchise tag on Jackson. Perhaps the second biggest question mark this offseason has been Aaron Rodgers. Will he return to Green Bay? Will he retire? Will the Packers trade him elsewhere? No one knows, but we're all one step closer to finding out. A 4-time MVP quarterback has emerged from a darkness retreat during which he says he has found inner peace. The 39-year-old Rodgers has promised that we won't be waiting much longer for him to decide, and that a quick decision is in the best interest of all interested parties. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst has said that he hasn't had conversation with Rodgers since mid-January. Now on to the ice. The NHL's trade deadline is fast approaching and chaos hasn't been far behind. On Tuesday night, the Los Angeles Kings dealt longtime goalie and future Hall of Famer Jonathan Quick to the Columbus Blue Jackets, along with a couple of picks in exchange for goalie Joonas Korpisalo and defenseman Vladislav Gavrikov. The 37-year-old Quick, who led the Kings to a pair of Stanley Cups in the 2010s, was reportedly extremely unhappy with the trade and stayed in LA while another trade could be worked out. Today, the Jackets dealt him back to the Pacific Division to the Vegas Golden Knights in exchange for goaltender Michael Hutchinson and a 7th-round pick in 2025. And Quick wasn't the only aging, American-born former superstar on the move this week, as the Chicago Blackhawks dealt Patrick Kane to the New York Rangers in exchange for a pair of draft picks. The 34-year-old Kane spent 16 seasons with the Blackhawks organization, helping to lead them to their 3 Stanley Cups in 5 years between 2010 and 2015. Kane says he's excited to make a run at a 4th Stanley Cup with the Rangers this season. He's expecting to make his debut with the team tonight against Ottawa. In the NBA, Milwaukee Bucks co-owner Mark Lasry has agreed to sell his stake in the team to Jimmy and Dee Haslam, the owners of the NFL's Cleveland Browns. The deal, which is still pending league approval, is for approximately a quarter of the franchise and carries a $3.5 billion with a B dollar evaluation, which is the second highest ever for an NBA team. Well, that closes the book on this episode of Blue Nation. We certainly hope you've enjoyed it. Be sure to tune in next week for the well-expected debut of a new segment, if I can learn how to talk in this place. But for now, I've done all the damage I can do. To find more episodes of Blue Nation and other great TV10 content, visit us at mytv10.uwec.edu or check us out on YouTube. From all of us here in the studio, I'm Noah Schwartz. Good night, everybody.